Breaking high-voltage Israeli security agencies estimate that Iran is preparing to attack Israel. The script will be written in serious international news reporting style, covering Israel's intelligence claims, Iran's response and denials, reactions from the US, Europe, and Arab states, military implications and risk of escalation, regional and global consequence. Israeli security agencies warn of possible Iranian attack. Introduction. In a development that has heightened tensions across the Middle East, Israeli security agencies have warned that Iran may be preparing to launch an attack against Israel. According to intelligence assessments shared with government officials in Tel Aviv, signs of military mobilization and strategic posturing from Tehran suggest that an escalation could be imminent. While no direct evidence of an imminent strike has been made public, the warnings have been enough to trigger urgent discussions among Israeli policymakers and their allies in Washington and Europe. The announcement comes at a time when relations between the two countries are already strained, following years of confrontation over Iran's nuclear program, its support for proxy groups across the region, and Israel's continued strikes on Iranian-linked targets in Syria. Israeli intelligence findings. Israeli officials, speaking on condition of anonymity, told local media that the security establishment has observed unusual military activities in Iran. These reportedly include increased movements of missile batteries, heightened readiness among the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, and intensified rhetoric from Iranian leadership. One senior security officer was quoted as saying, "Our assessment is that Iran may be planning either a direct strike or an operation through its regional proxies. Israel must remain on maximum alert." The possibility of an attack, officials say, could take multiple forms ranging from long-range ballistic missile strikes to coordinated assaults by groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon or militias in Syria and Iraq. Iran's response. Iran has strongly rejected the Israeli claims, dismissing them as propaganda designed to justify aggression. In a statement released by Iran's foreign ministry, officials accused Israel of fabricating threats in order to gain international sympathy and deflect attention from its actions in Gaza and the West Bank. The Islamic Republic of Iran does not seek war but reserves the right to respond decisively to any Israeli aggression, the statement read. These baseless allegations are part of Israel's psychological warfare. Iranian state media also suggested that the warnings were an attempt to rally U.S. support at a time when Washington has faced growing criticism for its backing of Israeli military operations in Gaza. U.S. and Western reaction. The United States has taken the Israeli warnings seriously. The Pentagon confirmed that it was in constant contact with Israeli defense officials and was monitoring the situation closely. American military assets in the region, including naval deployments in the Mediterranean and Persian Gulf, remain on high alert. European powers have also expressed concern. France and the United Kingdom called for restraint, urging both Israel and Iran to avoid further escalation. Germany warned that any direct confrontation between the two countries could ignite the entire region. Proxy dimensions. Experts note that Iran has historically avoided direct confrontation with Israel, instead relying on a network of proxies to exert pressure. Hezbollah in Lebanon, the most powerful of these groups, is believed to possess an arsenal of more than 100,000 rockets. In addition, Iranian-backed militias in Iraq and Syria have launched drone and rocket attacks on U.S. bases in recent months, signaling Tehran's willingness to operate through indirect means. Israeli security officials fear that if Iran decides to act, it may do so by unleashing these proxies simultaneously, stretching Israel's defensive systems and military capabilities. Military readiness in Israel. In anticipation of potential escalation, Israel's military has reportedly reinforced its northern border with Lebanon and Syria, while also upgrading its air defense systems. The Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow missile defense systems are on full operational readiness, with additional batteries deployed near major cities. The Israeli Air Force has conducted intensive training exercises in recent weeks, simulating long-range strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities and missile sites. Defense analysts say these drills are designed not only as preparation but also as a signal to Tehran that Israel is prepared for all scenarios. Nuclear shadow. The warnings also come amid growing concerns about Iran's nuclear program. Reports from the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, indicate that Tehran has enriched uranium close to weapons-grade levels, though Iranian officials insist the program is for peaceful purposes. Israeli leaders have long maintained that a nuclear-armed Iran is unacceptable and would pose an existential threat to the Jewish state. The possibility of an Iranian strike, Israeli analysts argue, could be linked to efforts to deter Israel from launching preemptive attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities. Regional reactions. Arab states have reacted cautiously to the latest developments. Saudi Arabia, which has been exploring the possibility of normalizing ties with Israel, expressed concern that rising tensions could derail diplomatic efforts in the region. Qatar and Egypt, both of which have played roles as mediators in the Gaza conflict, called for maximum restraint. Turkey, meanwhile, accused Israel of using Iran as a scapegoat to divert international attention from its own military actions in Palestinian territory. Potential scenarios. Security experts outline several possible scenarios. 1. Direct strike by Iran, though considered unlikely, this would represent the most dangerous escalation. Ballistic missiles or drones launched from Iran could overwhelm Israeli defenses and invite massive retaliation. 2. Proxy escalation, more likely, Iran could direct Hezbollah, Iraqi militias, or even the Houthis in Yemen to intensify attacks on Israeli or allied targets. 3. As cyber operations, Iran has previously carried out cyber attacks on Israeli infrastructure. A digital offensive could disrupt power grids, communications, or financial systems. 4. Controlled tensions, Iran may posture aggressively without launching a direct strike, aiming instead to deter Israel from attacking its nuclear facilities. Global consequences. If Iran were to attack Israel directly, analysts warn the repercussions would be immediate and severe. The United States would almost certainly become involved, either defensively or offensively, on Israel's behalf. Oil prices could surge, destabilizing global markets, while regional conflict could engulf Lebanon, Syria, and even Iraq. At the United Nations, the Security Council would likely face paralysis, with the U.S. defending Israel and Russia and China resisting calls for punitive action against Iran. Such a standoff could deepen existing geopolitical divides. Conclusion. The Israeli security agency's warnings underscore just how fragile the situation in the Middle East has become. Whether Iran truly intends to launch an attack remains uncertain, but the very suggestion has rattled governments across the globe. For Israel, the threat reinforces its determination to neutralize Iran's influence in the region. For Iran, the accusations highlight its ongoing struggle to resist what it sees as Israeli aggression and Western double standards. As both sides trade accusations, the risk of miscalculation grows. One strike, one misinterpreted maneuver, or one act of provocation could ignite a conflict whose consequences would reach far beyond the borders of Israel and Iran. The world now watches anxiously, hoping diplomacy can prevent another devastating war in the Middle East.